Hey, good morning, everybody. I apologize for the backdrop and not having my headset or whatever, but I am sitting at a friend's kitchen table. We are up here in Phoenix for the weekend, and thankfully, the internet and a laptop is all I need. And if I had to go down to it, I could do it from here if I wanted to. So. Just thankful that we are able to get together, and it's worth it to me to get together and discuss the issues in cybersecurity so that the mentees can get smarter. And so anyway, that's what I have for a opening statement. I just dropped this onto the Facebook page, our email, and LinkedIn. I actually dropped it on LinkedIn as well. There was a report, and I put the link in our chat, of the actual study. Somebody researched what's called the Open Charging Protocol, and found vulnerabilities. From a, let's call it industry standpoint, that is not totally unexpected, because there's so much advancement being made, and you've seen all the commercials where people are being encouraged right and left to order electric vehicles. There are federal mandates as well as state mandates that are trying to get Americans into alternative vehicles, alternative energy vehicles, rather than gasoline or even diesel internal combustion engines. So it's not too unexpected. But Chris and I were just discussing this before the webinar. There is a problem with that, and from a cybersecurity viewpoint, you're sort of rushing to implement something. If you read the editorial from the SANS Institute guys, this is being driven by the lawmakers. And the lawmakers, how many people know, not all of them thoroughly research what they're doing, and frequently they may order the implementation of something without a concern or even a thought to cybersecurity. And so my question that gets raised from this, here's President Joe Biden demanding that there be charging stations installed on the nation's superhighways, or whatever you want to call them, so that the infrastructure will more readily support electric vehicles on the highways. Okay, but like this study shows, somebody could, I mean, it's possible somebody could scale a denial of service attack so that, even if you got there, pulled your Tesla or your E-Volt or whatever you want to, or your Mustang Mach-E, whatever, pull it up, or Rivian, pull it up to the charging station, put in your debit card, and it doesn't work. So how helpful is that? So denial of service, and also they said it is possible that you can figure out a way to get your electricity for free. So there is now a not just a possible denial of service to where the system that has been designed and installed may not work, but there's also now an incentive for the black hats and maybe the gray hats to try and figure out whether they can crash electric vehicle charging stations and get their electricity for free. So we in cybersecurity are faced with the dilemma of how do you meet your boss's requirements to implement something and not take into account that there may be a risk involved and what you're doing could come crashing down. You know? Any discussion on that, guys? Any discussion? Thoughts? Okay, fair enough. I would ask that everybody go read this. Again, this is a speculation. They haven't, I don't believe they've done it in a lab. They have just examined the protocol and said, this is not a robust protocol. It may be functional and, you know, maybe being pushed out to all of these stations, but the way it's written, somebody didn't take into account resilience or resistance to being misused. Now, obviously, the possibilities are maybe kind of remote at the moment, but what if somebody turns this into, you know, their own little commercial venture, or they do it because they hate EVs or whatever, and publish, okay, here's how to do it. You know, flip this twice, push this 4 times, stick your key in here, poof, you have free energy, or whatever. Don't tell me that people aren't going to capitalize on it. You're standing there with an EV charging cable in your hand and your debit card, and you looking at the station, and somebody says, oh, by the way, here's how to get your charge for free. Some people will take them up on that.
Scotty, I think there's a parallel to the guy who said that everything has a vulnerability, and that
right.
is if you're so afraid of something being hacked, you're so afraid of something being secure, why bother? If you want the most secure thing in the world, just don't go on the internet. Just don't plug it in. And I think it's a great talk and discussion into what's your risk appetite. What are you willing to risk to get this technology on and going? Are you willing to risk people upset at you, your political career, your money, if you're a business venture trying to do this? What is your risk appetite to say, hey, I want all these EV stations out on these highways by the close of FY24?
Right.
Okay. And, well, what's the risk to that? The risk is we get them out quickly and we completely forget to, there's this vulnerability that's going on and we completely forget to patch it. And we don't have time to patch it or the money to patch it.
There you go.
And that's, if you're willing to eat that risk, or want to, what's the word I'm looking for, transfer the risk, that could be an option as well. That's a great conversation for risk management and risk appetite, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And some people, I mean, I've encountered them, some people say, well, I don't care about the risk. The risk, if you look at the definition of risk means it hasn't happened yet. So let me know if it happens.
You have a probability.
Yeah, yeah. Just so everybody understands, Chris used a phrase that I think everybody needs to know for your cybersecurity career. It's called risk appetite. And it's not something that you have, It's something that your management and leadership have to be aware of. Because here's what happens. Somebody says, you know, I've got this great idea, let's all, you know, paint our cars blue or whatever. You know, I've got this idea. Let's turn it into something. Hey, can we make this happen? Yes, we can make this happen. Will it benefit my people, my customers, the bottom line, whatever it is? Yes, it can have, yes, it will be a benefit. And so the managers, the people with the vision say, then make it happen. That's why we as information security professionals have to be involved in the decision-making process so that we can go forth and say, may not work. What do you mean it may not work? The ops guys are saying it'll work. Here's the risk. And if something happens and the operational implementation, let's say, or rollout or whatever of this new, let's say, electric vehicle charging station network, if something goes wrong and it stops working, guess who they're going to look at? They're going to look at the cybersecurity folks and say, number one, fix it as quick as you can so we can get back to being operational. But then number two, tell me why it broke in the first place. And God forbid if you knew about the vulnerabilities and didn't bring it up to somebody. Because if something happens, they're going to turn around and say, why didn't you tell us? We didn't know. And you know, to use the old President Reagan discussion, you know, if you remember in the Iran-Contra hearings, they'd ask him about something, he'd say, I have no recollection of that. I have no recollection of that. And the phrase they came up with was plausible deniability. You don't brief the president because then he can sit in Congress and honestly reply, I didn't know about that. I know nothing about what you're saying. So your management, you are not helping your management by staying silent on known vulnerabilities and possible risk. They have to hear it all so that they can make that decision about how to implement. You become the person that gets into a meeting and says, may not work as you think it might. And they have to stop and say, what do you mean? And that's when you need to be prepared to give your analysis and your suggestions. Again, the possibility of this is still kind of remote, but if it does occur, it could, and they also said it, if it is a part of the wireless network that they use, it could very well become a massive denial of service. Not distributed, but massive. Do you know, you guys understand the difference? Distributed denial of service versus massive denial of service?
I do.
Okay, let me share a little bit. In our books, they talk about distributed denial of service, DDoS. And that basically means that there are a series of sites, sometimes they call them bots or agents, that are installed in, oh gosh, I don't know, ADT security cameras, or, ooh, your LG refrigerator that's on the Wi-Fi, Internet of Things, your smartwatch or something like that. These devices that are way out on the periphery and may have a known vulnerability and they become compromised. And then what somebody does is they direct them all toward a single point or a series of points and attempt to, by sheer overload, stop service from being provided by that particular entity. They've tried, for example, distributed denial of service attacks on Microsoft. They've tried it on Amazon Web Services. They've tried it on DoD. I've seen some of those. But DDoS is basically a large number of actors, if you will, all focusing on one point. That's called DDoS. Massive DOS is where you can affect this site, and then because they're all connected, it may be possible to affect this site and 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 this site, all in the same network. So what happens when all, I don't know, 3,000 or however many it is, when you can down all 3,000 charging stations out on the nation's highways? That's called a massive denial of service. One activity affects multiple sites rather than multiple sites affecting one organization or website. Make sense? Denial of service is not a ubiquitous term. It basically says something is denying the service here. Well, what if there's multiple heres? That's massive. Okay? Cool beans. So it's a dilemma. There is no answer to this right now, but from our viewpoint, it basically means even if, the first thing that you need to do is be able to research so that if something like this looms in your office, you will have something to say. You can share with the CEO, go in and close the door and say, you know what, I'm not comfortable with this and this is why. Or your CISO, speak to the CISO so the CISO can go in and speak to the CEO. So be aware that is the possibility of occurring. Next topic, I wanted to discuss the 1 million free cybersecurity certifications being offered by ISC2. Chris, you mentioned your progress on it. Do you want to give us how it's going for you?
It's going pretty well. I finished the read of the textbook, and the textbook's not necessarily free for itself. The course is free, and there's more information on the website that Scotty's provided beforehand. It's an online course, and you do it self-study, and you get a free voucher to sit for the exam for ISC Squared. ISC Squared is a globally recognized group that provides information security credentials, and the biggest one is the CISSP. Right. And if you read through some different cybersecurity job announcements, they will ask for a CISSP as one of their credentials. That's advanced. You have to have 5 years experience in the information security field, but you can still take the test to become an associate, and that's gold to a lot of employers, because that associate itself is, hey, if you're ready to learn, we'll train you the rest of the things, and we'll give you the 5 years. So something to look after for. And I chose a certificate of cybersecurity just to get a foothold of how that test is run and practice. But that certified cybersecurity is really foundational, basic level, almost comparable to a Security Plus.
And so, bottom line, if the exam is free and it comes from ISC, you call it ISC Squared, I call it ISC2, but them, I think they call themselves ISC Squared. If it is free and it is from a very well-respected organization, why would somebody who's trying to get into the cybersecurity career field not do it? So my strong, go ahead.
You can't beat free.
You can't beat free. Excellent point. If that has been the reason why you are delaying in your cybersecurity career, no more reason to delay. So has anyone else started that? Anyone on the call started on the ISC2, ISC squared free cybersecurity certification? And I agree with Chris. In principle, it is trying to stack up head-to-head with CompTIA Security Plus. It is not CISSP. It's not anywhere near as in-depth and detailed as a CISSP. It is below the CISSP, which puts it right in the same arena as Security Plus. Okay, well, I strongly recommend that you find the opportunity to do it. ISC squared, okay, I'll use your phrase, Chris. ISC squared says they're going to give away 1 million free certification courses, self-study courses, and that means vouchers. 1 million. They are serious about this, and they're doing it as a service to you. So you really should take the opportunity to make your credentials look better and to learn what an industry leader is trying to teach you for free. So, okay. Next one, I wanted to talk about, and this has occurred in the last few hours, honestly. Have you guys heard of TalosIntelligence? Chris, I know you have. TalosIntelligence. I am going to...
They're down the road from me.
What's that, Chris?
They're down the road from me.
Uh-huh. TalosIntelligence, and I'm just going to go back to the actual website. TalosIntelligence is a reputation gathering organization, and it's wholly owned by Cisco, and they point out, for example, if I'm looking at these this data here, I'm looking for what it's trying to describe. It doesn't show at the moment, but oh, here it is. How much legitimate emails being sent around the world, how much spam and where it's originating from, and how much malware and where it's originating from. And this is near real time. It's as it's being reported. There are some real time data gathering, but when I went out and looked at this, let me step through what went on in my mind. I get these weird things, and I sort of put them in here. You know, your order is out for delivery, new program to give solar panels to homeowners, offer for Norton tools, top-rated wines, HelloFresh, get 25 meals, Kohl's department store, Southwest Airlines, DeWalt Power Station, Splash Wine, Lush deodorant, or Lumi deodorant, Lull mattresses, Walmart, Lowe's, etc., etc., etc. Oh, here's another one, free COVID-19 tests. All of these are phishing attempts. All of them. And I looked at this one in particular. I don't know if you can see it. I hope you can sort of see it. But number one, where you see weird text like this, that is kind of a dead ringer that they are trying to use text that will not be caught in spam and phishing filters. If it's a backward R, then they don't it may not be caught, and in this case it wasn't. But then I go all the way down to the bottom here, and it said, if you wish to unsubscribe, please click here. And you look, again, you may or may not be able to see it easily, but down in the bottom left-hand corner, it shows an IP address. And number one, that is a dead ringer for watch out. Okay, if you see an IP address instead of a domain name, every bell should go off. But I see 64.84.97.64. And I said, I wonder if this is rated poorly on TalosIntelligence. 64, 84, 97, 64. So I go up here, 64.87.94.64. And I look it up. And it comes up and it says, no, we haven't really heard much from this site. Sender IP reputation is neutral. That means they haven't heard anything good or bad. And so I was thinking to myself, there's this thing here that says submit sender IP reputation ticket. How do you do that? That's what I asked myself. How do you do that? So I went out to TalosIntelligence, and it says they've got this reputation center, and you can submit tickets. I'm like, well, cool. I know that this site has sent something or is being used for something that is not up and up. So I signed up for, a few minutes ago, I signed up for a Cisco account so that I can submit TalosIntelligence reputation report tickets for all of these guys. Why? Because I want them to be flagged. We have the ability to make things better. Even if you're just sitting at home, even if you're not a cybersecurity professional, even if you're just thinking about the cybersecurity career field, even if you're like me sitting in somebody else's kitchen, you can make a difference. And if I go down and I report all of these, and let's see some of the other ones that I'm looking at. Let's go. Okay, here's one. Bernadette C. Brock at Magic Auto Sale 1. Magic Auto Sale 1, yeah, .com. That is not a Norton advertiser. See? This is a Norton ad, and this is not from a Norton advertiser. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to submit a Talos reputation ticket on this and hand it off to somebody else. If enough of us do this, we can make a positive difference. Any thoughts? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean,
y'all are too quiet.
If a lot more people knew about this, it's kind of easy to use, and if more people knew about it, we could take out a lot of spam or bad malicious sites and malicious actors out there.
And here's the other thing that comes to my mind. I have identified something, and this is, if you remember a couple months ago, the topic that I brought up was don't delete those malicious emails. If you remember that. The reasoning for that is if you delete it, you don't help anybody. All you do is clear your inbox. If you report it as spam, report it as phishing, in this case, I'm going to start doing TalosIntelligence tickets so that we can help build awareness of a particular site or account or group that is infesting my mailbox, and they didn't choose me out of the 7 billion people on the planet to send phishing emails to. There are hundreds, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands other people who are getting these same emails. Why not try? There's a very, very, very old story about a kid who was walking along the dikes in Holland, and there was a hole in the dike and water was spurting out. So the kid stuck his finger in the hole. That's what I think about. I'm walking along, I see something, I want to stop it. You know? Why not be even a little tiny bit? Why not be a force for good when you can? So I'm going to start learning how, and I'm sure I will teach everybody on this team. Maybe we can, pick this up as a group project or something to tell people how to submit Talos Intelligence reports for the spam we get. Let the organization know about it so that everybody gets smarter. And who knows, enough information may be grabbed to where that ends up getting put onto a denied senders list, a blacklist, lower the reputation score for that website, because in the end the responsibility is with whoever owns that domain and what is being placed on that domain. So it's the system owners who probably don't know that they've been compromised or an account on their system has been compromised. They probably don't know. So you're helping everyone by taking a little bit of time to report what you see. What do you guys think? Make sense? Sound like fun? I think it sounds fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. I was just actually thinking of this might actually be something you could probably put like on a resume, maybe, because I
yes,
think
yes,
systems comes up a lot in job descriptions.
yes.
So yeah, I can't figure out how to word it, but ticketing.
Oh, we'll figure that out. Good point, Ron. Yeah, I am an active Talos Intelligence cybersecurity ticket reporter. And, I have submitted X number of Talos Intelligence tickets to help make sure that websites and spam and phishing is minimized worldwide. Whew! You're a practitioner, dude. It may just be a tiny little thing, but we can all do a tiny bit. That's a great idea, Ron. So I'll let you know. Again, I just signed up this morning while I was having my morning coffee and catching up on email. And I said, you know what? I have gotten all of those ones that I showed you on the screen, all of those have appeared in I call it my burner mailbox, my oldest email that I use for, if I'm signing up for, I don't know, home warranties or Kohl's department store or Walmart or those sorts of things. That's the site that I use where they say, give us your mail address. I call it my burner site, my burner email address. That's the one where I expect the most amount of spam and phishing and junk to occur because I put it out there for my frequent shoppers thing for Safeway or Kohl's or Fry's. It's my burner account. And so therefore, I got all of those since January. All of them. Dozens. And I'm sort of storing them because I'm about ready to do a class, but I'm like, I don't want to get any more. I want to help be part of the solution, not part of the, there are two groups. You can either be part of the victims, you can be part of the problems, or you can make a change and be part of the solution, And if you know about it and you let it go, you're not part of the solution. So be thinking about being and I keep saying this, a force for good. Very good. Very good. So next topic. We've got 20 more minutes. Next topic. Cybersecurity goes to the movies. You saw Chris and I submitted on the Facebook page, you saw we submitted some of our favorite movies that have cybersecurity situations or principles that you see demonstrated, those sorts of things. Other than the ones that we have, what do you guys think of? What comes to mind when you think of cybersecurity in the movies? What movies do you think prompted you to think more about cybersecurity? Any of you guys? Okay. Well, part of the reason why I brought it up is I want you to use this as a possible vehicle for you to start learning how cybersecurity is real in the real world. And, you know, many of these situations are a little bit fanciful because, you know, they're in the movie business. They're entertainment. But there is a lesson to be learned just by watching a movie. You watch war games, watch, you know, like I was saying, the KGB, The Computer and Me. That is an extremely old one, and it points out that because you're on the internet, we're on the internet right now. My phone, when I walk around anywhere, my phone is connected to the internet. What does that mean? That means that anybody on the internet with the proper information about my phone and the proper tools and the proper attitude can make an attempt to try and crash my phone or sneak something from my phone like Scotty's bank account numbers and logins or whatever. So you can use anything today, and you should be using anything to look at the world through the lens of cybersecurity and say, what can be learned from this? Because people around you don't. Your mother, your sister, your cousins, your kids maybe, they may not. So you become the resident authority. And you know what? It's not for bragging rights. I don't care if I brag or not. I mean, bragging is not why I do it. I want people to live a better life. I want people to have their savings secure. I want people to be able to retire and go live wherever they want to live in security. So for me, it's great thinking about being able to be a force for good. This thing with TalosIntelligence this morning reminded me that I may have the capability to do a little more than I'm currently doing. Great, let's do it. I don't do it because I want less in my mailbox so much as I want others, like my parents or my cousins or whatever, to have less in their mailboxes. I want the people who go out and maybe dabble in bad stuff to say, you know what, it's just not worth it. The rewards don't match the investment, so I'm not even going to try. Cool. I have made the world a better place through something as simple as that, discouraging a bad person from deciding to do something bad. Try it out. See how it works. I don't want them to be successful. I want them to go back to playing their video games or whatever. So, which brings up why our weekly homework assignments are most valuable to the mentees. We haven't spoken about them. We haven't asked anybody to do them. But the point is, Chris and I literally do what the assignments are asking you guys to do all the time. That's how come we come up with topics for us to discuss on Saturday. We see these things and say, you know what? There is a cybersecurity implication here. And we bring it up to everybody. So I really do encourage you to do your homework, to look at those homework assignments, because they are teaching you how to look at things with a cybersecurity lens. You may not be in the middle of a cybersecurity, security operations center. Okay, but you watch movies. You can go on the web and look at cybersecurity news. You have accounts out there that could be vulnerable, so you could be helping yourself and your family by getting smarter. So that's why those homework assignments are out there. They are not to make you work harder. They're to get you smarter. Chris, anything?
Get it on the head, Scotty.
Okay. Sort of threw it your way. Sorry about that. Okay. The last thing I wanted to cover was give us your grades. In other words, how are we doing? How is the CS-Sensei program valuable? What is it that we provide that you can't get somewhere else easier or better or faster, or maybe somebody who's cuter doing it instead of some old guy like me sitting in somebody's kitchen? What value do we provide, and how could we increase that value? And then lastly, if we provide the value, are you telling others about it, or are you keeping it to yourself? Anybody want to share? Y'all are quiet. Ron, I saw your response on Facebook, and I appreciate that. I'm constantly trying to tweak this program so that we optimize the value that we provide. We have a technology focus here, but people who are out in the world, by and large, don't. So it's tough to talk to people about this in the first place, because to them, cybersecurity is somebody else. Cybersecurity is not me. But that is not true. As long as, and I mentioned this to the lady whose house we're staying at, I said, how frequently do you patch your phone? Oh, I keep putting those off. They keep telling me it's time to upgrade, and I say, oh yeah, I'll upgrade later, and then I forget about it. So I keep bypassing the upgrades. And I said, well, those upgrades do two different things. One is they may have features and enhancements that will make things work better for you, but it might also be that they have discovered something on your phone or computer or whatever that makes it vulnerable to where somebody can get to you and maybe steal your account information and drain your bank account because you didn't patch. Oh, well, you know what? I think I'm going to go home and catch up my phone patches. Like, cool. I just made somebody smarter. I just made one less victim in this system. And to me, that's wonderful. And I want everyone to have that idea and attitude. Let's make the world a better place. Let's improve. I may not be able to improve the world, but I can improve this person in the world, or this person in the world, or my family. Chris, any thoughts?
Nothing from me on that. Good.
And by the way, everybody, I hope you don't think this is the Scotty Ward show. I do not get online so that people can listen to me. I get online so that I can pour into you, so that I can take some of these insights and experiences that I've had for the last 30 plus years in the industry and bring them to you in a manner that you can digest and get better. I want you to be better. And you know what? Many of you are going to be better than me when you excel in this industry. I am not top of the industry by any stretch of the imagination. How did I become a cybersecurity SME for University of the Potomac? I talked about it. I'm interested. I show that I can bring value to a conversation. I am not somebody who's got more credentials than anybody else. Far from it. But I've got experience, I've got wisdom, I've got the focus, and I've got the attitude to make everybody around me better. I'm not going to walk through this life and cause people to fail right next to me if I could have done something about it. I'm not going to let it happen. Anyway, that's all I have today, guys. Did anybody else have anything to bring up? Reports, encouragements, discouragements, something that you've read?
Nothing much from me, Scotty, besides what I've posted and reported.
Okay. Again, remember isc2.org. Go out there and start on that cybersecurity certification. You'll be able to put CC after your name. And like Chris said, the exam is free, the course is free, the book may not be, but it's worth a shot. Okay? Right, everybody. I appreciate it. And have a great Saturday and a great weekend.
You too, Scotty. Thank you.
Have a good weekend. Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.